Hey everyone, thank you for joining Alphia and me for our final video on the Cutler series. The fourth book is called Midnight Whispers. The book came out in 1992. The movie came out in 2023, so almost 30 years apart exactly. And boy did the movie make some changes, let me tell you. But we'll get into all of that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Alphia's channel if you enjoy Hallmark and Lifetime movie reviews as well as funny skits. Please also subscribe to my channel and like and comment on this video. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this crazy movie. So Midnight Whispers opens with the always dreaded voiceover announcing that Dawn's daughter Christie is the new protagonist of the story. That doesn't bode well for Dawn. If you've ever read a V.C. Andrews book or watched an adaptation of one of her novels on the screen, you know there's like a 90% chance Dawn is now going to either die or go insane. Christie plans to become a professional pianist and achieve the kind of dreams that her mother had put on the back burner in order to raise Christie's spoiled little ass. Sorry, I don't mean that. Christie's a sweet girl who is protective of her little brother Jefferson. Laura Sue, Dawn's mother, died sometime between the end of Twilight's Child and the beginning of Midnight Whispers. Apparently she was such an inconsequential character that she can die without an on-screen funeral thrown in her honor. I believe she was alive in the book, just maybe in less than stellar physical health. She seems to suffer from the affliction that tends to hit all V.C. Andrews mothers at some point in their lives. Convenient memory loss that shields them from having to truly come to terms with the past. Christie is about to turn 16 and her family is going to throw her a big ass party at the hotel. Dawn's old friend Trish will be there. She's a dancer on Broadway now, of course. No small town dreams for these folks. No Carrie Dollengangers in the bunch. Before the party, Dawn sits Christie down to tell her things about her biological father that I feel Christie should already know by now, like that he's a deadbeat dad. I don't know when the appropriate age is to tell your daughter that her father was a gross old man who took advantage of his 17-year-old student and then abandoned her and his child for Europe when things got too real. But even at 16, her mother feels she's too young to know that Michael tried to blackmail Dawn into giving him money. All she says is that Christie met her father once long ago. She really doesn't tell her much. It's probably a conversation that didn't need to happen, given the fact that she reveals so little of consequence. Dawn does tell Christie about their family curse, which sounds like a lot of hocus-pocus nonsense to me, and a way for Dawn to avoid discussing the more pressing concern of her family living alongside a certain sister molester named Philip Cutler. Christie understands that Philip has a drinking problem and can't seem to leave his younger sister alone, as do many in the family, but they rarely intervene when he acts up. And we see some of his shenanigans at the party that is soon to come. Jimmy eventually handles him, but not soon enough as far as I'm concerned. But boy, does he handle him. I love the totally psychotic look he got in his eyes as he very calmly but forcefully told Philip to back the off. Christie's got it bad for her stepfather's motorcycle-riding younger brother Gavin. You might think he's a bad boy from the motorcycle, but this is no episode of 90210 we're talking about here. He seems like a mama's boy. He and Christie have been hanging out together, talking about the things they got up to last summer. Hopefully it wasn't hitting some kid on a bike, or some fisherman with a hook for a hand, and then making a pact never to speak of it again. Probably just your typical shit to incestuous teens get up to in these stories. Fern is drunk and or high, apparently. There's no shortage of troublemakers in this family. So even though Betty Ann has been married to Philip for a good 6 years or more, she's just now getting around to figuring out that he has a shrine to Dawn and his own insanity in the basement of the hotel. This devastates her, and I partly blame Dawn for not just telling her the truth from the very beginning when Betty Ann came to her asking her questions months before the birth of the twins. It's the morning after the party, and Jimmy goes to fix the boiler. I have to say that nothing good ever happens in a boiler room. That was his first mistake, going to fix the problem himself and not calling in a professional or something. Let them deal with the consequences of their actions. That's what they get paid to do. While in the boiler room, Jimmy has a little run-in with some tool Philip grabbed from the nearby toolbox. Betty Ann overhears everything, but surprise, surprise, does nothing to help Jimmy out. Now he's lying in a puddle of his own blood. Dawn finds him that way after going downstairs the minute she smells a gas leak. Probably not the smartest thing to do when there's a suspected gas leak, but I understand she was worried about her unaccounted-for husband. He comes to, and she reassures him things will be all right, just before the hotel explodes. "It's the family curse, I tell you." Christie tells Gavin all about it, and then here comes Fern, talking like she's Clear Rivers from Final Destination 2, appearing out of nowhere as though summoned by all this talk of curses and death. News flash, guys. There's no curse. It's just Philip Cutler. He's the one who caused it all. And before him, there was his pervy grandfather, and on Grandmother Cutler's side, there was her pervy father, which we learn more about in the books. Christie and Jefferson are orphans now, and Betty Ann and Philip have lost the hotel they live in, so guess they'll just move in with Christie and Jefferson and be their guardians. Works out just perfectly. Betty Ann is awful to the kids. She packs up Jefferson's things and moves them out of his room. She paws through her dead sister-in-law's clothes a little too gleefully. She encourages her snotty kids to badmouth their cousins at the dinner table. She calls them hillbillies. Philip speaks up for Christie, but it's not like he has the best of intentions. Philip starts getting creepy with Christie, and really, who didn't see that one coming? No one, but all the characters in this movie, apparently. Betty Ann starts to get the picture now, though, and she wants to ship Christie off to music school. By the way, Christie had an important audition that she'd missed because of her parents' funeral messing with her earthly schedule, as untimely death is known to do. Christie refuses to leave Jefferson alone with her hateful relatives. "He'll be fine, Christie. It's not like Philip has any desire to him. He'll have to deal with some bullying from a couple of 8-year-old twins and their equally childish mother, but it will give him a tough skin." I'm just kidding. Don't leave him with those awful people, Christie, please. Anyway, Philip engages in more weird behavior like crying at Dawn's grave. It's not weird to grieve your lost sister, and I can understand the emotions must be especially complex if you were the one who essentially murdered her. But yeah, he's rambling and saying some really strange things to this dead woman who was supposed to be his sister, not his long-lost love. Christie comes home late from spying on Philip in the graveyard, and Betty Ann, despite not being her actual mother, lays down the law as older women who are not the real mothers of teen girls are known to do from time to time. Christie gets lippy, and Betty Ann slaps her. Shortly after, Philip comes to Christie's room. Oh no, what's he gonna do? It's no mystery at all what he's going to do, and Christie successfully pushes him away. In the book, sadly, she does not succeed in fighting him off. In the movie, Betty overhears the struggle and, surprise, surprise, once again, chooses to do nothing. Christie goes from being trapped in the bathroom while Philip tries to cajole her into coming out so that he can rape her, to sneaking out of the house with her brother Jefferson. There seems to be some missing beats in between. Did Philip just give up on his mission to rape his niece and decide instead to climb into bed alongside his hateful wife, who was no doubt waiting for him with a drugged look on her face from all the sleeping pills I suspect she downed with a slug of alcohol in order to stay silent through the preceding struggle? Christie decides to hightail it to New York to meet her father. Apparently she learned nothing from that non-conversation with her mother earlier. Certainly, there must have been someone better she could have run to. I think Bronson might have been on vacation, or was that Gavin's parents? I don't know. Someone was away and unable to be reached. And after her failed meeting with deadbeat Michael, who does have the compassion, at least, to give her a little spare change and not be a total a-hole to her, she calls up Trish and finds out she's away on tour. So Trish won't be saving her ass today. Guess she'll have to call Gavin. And despite being a teen himself, Gavin comes rushing to her aid like a white knight on his horse. His act of heroism begins with the task of giving Jefferson a sandwich to eat while he and Christie work out a plan. They decide on going to the Meadows. Not sure how they know the way, since I believe Christie's been there before, but it was probably years ago. Charlotte and Luther are only just now finding out from the kids that Dawn and Jimmy are poof, no more. And apparently they only just recently turned the lights on, even though Emily has been dead for years. The one thing these movies always seem to get wrong is the timeline. The timeline never makes any sense. Charlotte tells Christie about Dawn's great-grandfather Booth, who married off his daughter Lillian to a horrible man after losing his farm in a poker game. Lillian's hand for the farm. That was the trade-off. Apparently, Philip inherited his drinking problem from this long-dead male relative. That's a convenient excuse. Maybe Philip is just a problem child who can't deal with the headache of not always getting his way and self-soothes with a bottle like the little baby he is. Charlotte shows Christie the bad room, quote unquote, bad room, where Dawn gave birth to her and where Charlotte also gave birth to a child Emily would later take away. Now all Charlotte has left is a doll she calls Ruby. Charlotte also believes their family is cursed, but she believes it's karma for the way they treated the slaves years ago. I'm pretty sure it's just Philip and his male relatives perpetuating the cycle of abuse, Charlotte, but I will acknowledge that slavery was definitely a huge stain on our country's history. I also want to point out Dawn is not actually related to the Booths by blood. She's a Cutler, and whatever bloodline her mother descended from. Grandmother Lillian was not her blood grandmother because Randolph was not her father. Randolph was her half-brother, but on the Cutler side, not the Booth side. So why has Dawn been dragged into the Booth family curse? She has nothing to do with it. Though, maybe evil grandfather Cutler had the same sinister legacy. Probably if he was trading farms for women with men like Captain Jed Booth. Christie also learns about a strong and silent young man named Homer who was found in a field as a baby by the neighbors, but Christie soon figures out he's actually Charlotte and Luther's child. Emily merely abandoned the poor kid in a meadow because she was the kind who believed babies out of wedlock don't deserve to have their basic needs met. They have to earn the right by having God intervene on their behalf or some nonsense like that. Fern arrives at the Meadows and demands that Christie treat her like royalty in exchange for her silence. Apparently Philip tried to get Fern to rat on her niece, but she didn't do it, and Christie owes her. Fern plays a prank on Charlotte where she mishandles Charlotte's doll Ruby and throws it out the window to her boyfriend, who throws it back while Charlotte pitches a fit. Homer deals with the situation in his rough way, and that's when Luther reaches for his gun. He orders Fern to leave. She says she'll leave after she gets dinner and a concert from Christie. So Christie plays the piano for them. Fern downplays her talent, saying anyone could do what she does if they had the money for lessons. Some people are never satisfied. You bend over backwards for them, and what does it get you? Then later, Fern starts to play strip poker with her boyfriend and the underage Christie, but Jefferson gets sick from an infection that resulted from a poorly treated injury from a rusty nail earlier. He's taken to the hospital. Christie is worried he'll die. Fern disappears, and then guess who shows up at the hospital? Uncle Philip. Fern must have ratted them out after she said she wouldn't, but this was a life-and-death emergency, so I will forgive Fern for that. Philip is acting awfully passive-aggressive with his niece. I know he's up to something. Christie gets home from the hospital and is informed by one of the twins that poor Jefferson has been swept up into the loving arms of the Lord. The other twin gives him hell for joking around at a time like this. Jefferson's not dead. Richard was just being an a-hole. Christie threatens Betty Ann, saying she's nothing but a horrid enabler. Philip wants to patch things up with Christie. He did make a promise to Dawn, after all, that he would look after her daughter. I'm pretty sure that promise was only ever made over Dawn's dead body, literally, because I know Dawn would have none of that. But Christie decides it's time to forgive and put all their troubles in the past. Philip proves himself to not be a changed man, though, when he sends his family away so he can have a romantic dinner with his niece and get to know her better. He now seems to think she is Dawn. Can a character in these stories ever do horrible things because they're a horrible person, and not just because they've lost their ever-loving minds? Where's the accountability, I say? Where? Christie goes all Clara Jean on Philip and pounds on his ass. She runs to Bronson, which is what she should have done from the beginning, but maybe he's back from a trip now. A very narratively convenient trip, if so. The police arrive and ask Christie if Philip is the man who attacked her. They ask her a second time just to be sure, because sometimes it's hard to make out your uncle's face in the lighted kitchen of the home where you both reside. Betty Ann is like, she's a liar. Don't believe a thing she says. Poor Betty Ann. Just a little while ago she had the perfect family that kept quiet when bad things happened behind closed doors. Then her husband murdered his sister and brother-in-law. Their niece and nephew came to live with them, and what do you know? Now the police are at their door. Clearly Christie is the common denominator here. Philip starts raving about Dawn. Oh, Dawn, I love you. How I love you. The police have heard enough of this shit and drag Philip away, but only after Betty Ann has a strange pang of conscience and admits that Philip murdered his sister and brother-in-law, and she witnessed the whole thing. I doubt she really feels sorry about her role in it all. She maybe has come to realize she can't play ignorant anymore because Philip's not exactly helping keep up the facade here. It's a year later now, and the hotel has been restored. Guess that's how it's done when you have money to repair things ASAP. Christie is going to Juilliard. She's playing the piano for guests at the hotel. She plays Beautiful Dreamer in honor of her mother. Dawn sang the song earlier in the movie, sounding like some deceptive glee club lip-syncing to a tape recording as they try to fool a dense choir director in an episode of Saved by the Bell. So overall, I'd give this movie a 3 out of 5. It was entertaining in a twisted sort of way, but it was so over the top, and I'm not sure how I feel about Philip being behind the deaths of Jimmy and Dawn. I don't believe he was in the book. That's crazy, isn't it, though? One minute you think your brother's just this pest who occasionally tries to molest you, but you always just barely manage to succeed in fighting him off. And then the next thing you know, he's beating your husband over the head with a stray tool, causing a gas leak in the scuffle, and then indirectly causing the house to go up in flames with you and your husband inside. Who knew sexual violence could lead to murder? It's just crazy what stories V.C. Andrews comes up with, especially when placed in the hands of modern writers to adapt as they see fit. Something I don't care for about these books is how incredibly naive the characters are, and it's especially glaring in the daughter books. I feel the movies did a better job of making the daughters less Mary Sue-ish, probably because we weren't subjected to pages and pages of their rambling, trifling thoughts. For example, in the book, Christie says at one point that she knows that great-grandfather Cutler did something to grandmother Laura Sue that resulted in Dawn's birth, but Christie says she doesn't know the specifics. I'm pretty sure she knows exactly what the specifics are. It's not like this is a puzzle with 500 pieces, but yeah, Christie's in the dark. It's funny that Breck Basinger plays a 30-something Dawn in this movie because in the Castile series, they got a new actress to play Heaven in the 4th movie. And in the Dollenganger series, they kept switching up the actress who played Kathy from one movie to the next. But I think Basinger did a good job. Oh, and Christie and Gavin do more than just kiss in the book. I'll leave it at that. In the movie, I feel their relationship is sweet and not overly sexualized, which is a good thing since they're still quite young, and, well, you know, kinda, but not really related. It's too bad they have yet to make the prequel Darkest Hour into a movie. That's a story about Lillian's childhood, and she went through some shit, let me tell you. She had a sister in a wheelchair who she adored and who died young. An evil older sister named Emily who we met in Secrets of the Morning. That was a real treat. Not. And her father was not a good man. Not even remotely. He did some stuff to Lillian. Spoiler alert. Charlotte is actually Lillian's daughter by her father. I don't think he was her biological father, but I won't get into all that because it's been a while since I've read the book and don't remember much about it. Anyway, that's all I've got. What are your thoughts, Alphia?
Hey everyone, thank you so much, Jennifer, for letting me come and see your channel again. You don't even know what my thoughts are. I definitely text you. I definitely told you what I thought for that one quick second. Why does Betty still have that blonde hair and she's not even a blonde? We learned in the previous movie, that Betty is not a blonde. And she looks just like Dawn. Like she's trying to dress like her. She's trying to act like her. Now, what's up, everybody? My name is Alphia Williams. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for, again, allowing me on your channel and to talk with you about this last V.C. Andrews movie of Dawn of the series. Now, y'all, I'm still stuck on Betty and the blonde hair. Why the hell, LaChopter, you got that hair still blonde? And you can see, obviously, at the roots that she is not blonde. And it's okay. Dye your hair back. It's not going to make Philly, creepy, Philly love you anymore. Now, of course, Dawn and her husband, of course, sadly passed away. And, of course, her daughter, Christie, is the main character now. And Christie is going through her ups and downs. And then creepy Phil went from essaying the mama that one time to trying to essay the niece. Lord have mercy. Jesus, take the wheel. We need more than Faith Evans. It's Carrie Underwood that sings Jesus, take the wheel. We need that heavy on this movie, because what the hell did I just watch? Okay, let's get into it. Christie is a phenomenal piano player. Her mom is Dawn, and she's running the hotel. She's still doing the damn thing. Go ahead, girl. And she's the natural blonde. Let's go ahead and say that again, because Betty, you're not a natural blonde at all. I had to get that out again. I'm sorry. Just woosah for real. Now back to what I was saying. We have Dawn, and we have her husband, and her, they're still one strong. They had Jefferson. And of course, Dawn's mom sadly passed away. She's going through a midlife crisis. She lost her husband, Randolph, even though she wasn't really studying him anymore. And she lost her daughter, Claire Jean. I don't give a damn about her dying. R.I.P. Not R.I.P. I don't give a damn. Hope she's resting in, the rest. Even though it's a fictional, not fictional, but this is a, I don't know if it's fictional. I still think these movies are based on something in V.C. Andrews' life. Even though we will never know because she is sadly passed away, but I think so. That's just my opinion. Nothing to do with what Jennifer or anything she has to say, because I don't want anybody to sue her. That's just my opinion. But back to what I was saying. Let's get into this movie. Dawn and her husband sadly passed away in a fire caused by Philly. So Philly is being creepy, and he's a fire starter, so he does arson. Man, wow, what else do you do, Phil? In the other book, does it tell anything, Jennifer, about when he goes to jail? Because I want to know, is he doing all kinds of stuff too? He don't even need to go to jail. He need to go be straight there, put in a straight jacket with a padded room and fed 3 meals a day, because he was crazy. Betty, why did you stay with him? Okay, so Dawn and her husband sadly passed away because of creepy Philly turning up the gas in the hotel, and he was trying to get her husband out of the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, if you would have just got Dawn's husband out of the way, do you think that you and Dawn ran off in the sunset and got married? Yeah, this is like a high school. You know how you have a high school crush, and you usually move on. Phil never moved on. He was just completely obsessed. The biggest word of obsessed you can think of. Yes. Now let's get into it. After Dawn's parents have passed away, her Aunt Betty, Christie's Aunt Betty, moves in. And it sounds so weird for her to call her Aunt Betty, because she asked her, and I'm going to go ahead and say, Betty, why did you let months go by after Dawn and her husband get killed in a fire after creepy Philly did it? Arson Philly, that's his name, Arson Philly, for this new episode, is Arson Philly. How the hell did you set a fire and, basically turn up the gas in the hotel and you killed the woman that you love? Gots to be more careful. Lord have mercy. So he attacks Dawn's husband, and that's how he ends up dying. He doesn't die from that. He gets unconscious, not unconscious, and Dawn finds him. And Dawn's like, everything is going to be okay, basically, but everything was not okay. It wasn't. That's really, really sad. She has left behind 2 kids. Christie was 16, and she was actually supposed to be with her dad, because her dad asked her a couple hours before he passed. He's like, do you want to be with dad, skip your last day at school, and just be with your dad? She was like, no, I'm going to go to school. So she went to school. Just imagine she'd been with her dad. This wouldn't even happen. Now I feel a little crazy. He was at her party, because her sweet 16, he was up there dancing with her. I'm going to go ahead and say, I do not like Fran. I still don't like her. She is crazy. She was doing some dumb-ish in this movie. Like, oh my gosh. She went from stealing to plotting on her niece, step-niece, whatever the heck you want to call her. I'm going to tell you something. Fern just went through too much, and she was just, She should have went with Phil, too, because she was creepy, too. Okay, so, of course, Dawn and her husband died. Betty moves in with her and her 2 kids, and her little 2 kids is bad. Like, how y'all twins and y'all bad? I mean, it is common to have twins that are bad, but they were just bad. It just, and they thought and they were trying to act stuck up and better than Jefferson and Christie. How the heck y'all gonna act stuck up? And y'all was staying in the hotel. There's nothing wrong with staying in the hotel. Nothing. I'm just saying. How y'all gonna act stuck up? And y'all was staying in the hotel, and Dawn and her husband both had their own house. Like, why y'all never moved out? I never got that. That didn't make sense. I don't care if it is a family hotel. I'm getting my own house. I don't love my family that much. I love them from a distance. So I don't know what kind of Dawn. And then then you knew when they had moved out on the last movie, you knew he was going in Don's room, and you told Don, and you still stayed with him after y'all had them kids. Oh my God, the poor children. Now they gotta grow up without the father, because in the end, Phil go to jail because they found out he killed Dawn and her husband. Even though it was an accident, he was just trying to kill the husband. It was just like, dang, you can't win for losing. You done lost your marriage and you lost your husband. The kids lost their daddy. Like, damn. But I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say he didn't want them kids. You can tell it was like, if you know that whole saying, F them kids, I can't say on the channel. It was like, F them kids for Phil, for real. Because like, what the heck did I just watch? Then Dawn went back to the Meadows, and she was with her Aunt Charlotte and her husband, and they found out about the son, and then Fern comes to visit them, and Fern is, I should have told Philip where you was, because it's the first thing I went to, because you went to the house, and I'm going to go ahead and say he started messing with Charlotte's baby, and it's just like, yo, come on, what the heck? Why was you messing with Charlotte's baby? I hope that was her name, because I always be mixing people's name up. So just bear with me. I think her name was Charlotte. So Charlotte and her husband previously had a child. And her sister Emily actually ended up giving the baby away. Well, actually putting the baby in the field, and somebody else found the child. And I'm just like, what did I watch? Is her name Charlotte? I'm looking. Give me 1 second. Oh, Lord. And then, hold on. So, Dawn's mom dies. And then her mother had remarried, right? To Bronson. And Bronson went to Italy, London, Rome, wherever he went to. And then he saw Christie knocking on his door when he came back. He was like, I should have never left you. Now, you knew how creepy Phil was. You was in the back burner, back of the scenes, and you saw how creepy Phil was, and you decided to leave your grandchildren with them? Oh, my God. Now, Bronson, I'm side-eyeing you, because how you going to leave the kids? How are you going to leave the kids with a creepy, uncle? Like, ugh. And Betty, all this stuff that was going on, you really let all this stuff go on, and you didn't stop it. Like, and she's like, I'm so sick of the lies. Girl, you should be taking the handcuffs too, because what the heck did I just watch? Okay, her name was Charlotte, so that was Aunt Charlotte. Aunt Charlotte opened the Meadows for them to come stay, and her and her husband, they had a son or whatever, and Emily put him in the field, and for somebody to get him, and the farmers got him to take care of him and raise him. And then, of course, Fern comes to the Meadows, and that's why she knows where Dawn is at, because she said that's the first place she could think of. And she gets a hold of Charlotte's baby, which is the baby doll. I really felt bad for Charlotte, but I love the fact that she was that aunt. She stepped in and she went to motion. I'm going to go ahead and say she was safe to say, but I'm going to say this. This is important. This movie is important to think about, because if you know that people are dying every day, every second, every minute, why don't you have a will? Because there was no way in hell that you going to sit there and not think about that, Dawn. Who don't think about no will? Like, for real, because you left Christie and Jefferson in the hands of Phil and Betty. Brango, even though she did not do that, but that's where the next of kin was. Bronson was a better idea. Bronson, you should have stepped in. Like, oh my God, it's like, it was pissing me off. I'm like, oh my God. And Betty slapped her. I'm glad. I am so glad Christie got back to the house and she slapped the taste out of her mouth. Because, baby, ain't no way in hell you gonna slap me in my mama house and you think I'm not gonna slap you back. No, no ma'am. No ham, no cheese, no turkey. For real. Betty was the worst aunt. Because at first I thought I was going to like Betty in like third movie or whatever, or second movie, whatever it is. What was that? The third movie? And then she's showing her behind. Like, no, I don't like her character at all. She should have went to jail too with Philip, because she just as guilty as he is, acting crazy like he is. That man was at you knew, you heard your niece in there screaming for your help when he was trying to attack her. This man had set up a date, like a dinner date, and then you lied for him. So, no, I was here at the house. She's lying. No, your husband was trying to seduce his niece. Like, what kind of mess is this? And there's actually sick cycles like that. Like, there's so much to unpack. And then, Christie got with her, her stepfather, Jimmy's brother, half brother. And I was like, wow. But I mean, at least I'm not related, but I'm just saying, wow. And then, of course, she went to New York to go see her dad, Michael. And of course, you know, he said, I can't offer you a place to stay because it's small enough here for me. I know you're not used to this, whatever. He did get her some pocket change, so he get little brownie points. But baby, Michael, you struggled for real. You did. And yeah, it's just like, y'all, this movie was really good, but it pissed me off how Betty was acting. The blonde hair was just pissing me off too, because why are you still blonde? Because as soon as they had buried Dawn, I went and got me some hair dye and dyed my hair back to the original color. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even kept that blonde that long. Like, ain't no way. Oh my God. Betty needs to be in a straight jacket too, because ain't no way. She was about as Lulu as Philly too. Creepy Philly. Arson Philly. Lost Blondie, Betty. And Charlotte was the winner of this movie because she really stepped into the auntie mode. She really did. Now, I got a little tea that Jennifer gave me. Jennifer told me that Charlotte is actually not an auntie. She's actually somebody's child. Y'all do what y'all want with that information. Now go run and walk. Don't run, don't walk. Get your ass up and go read VC Angels. That tea was piping. But thank you so much again. You know, I was ramble, but thank you so much, Jennifer, for letting me come to your channel. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to Jennifer Wood's channel. You don't want to miss any of her updates, and you don't want to miss any time I come up here and we talk about this deep tea time. And I hope you guys loved my review, and I hope you guys loved Jennifer's review because she's always clocking that tea. But you might want to go read that book because Charlotte she was not actually the aunt. She was actually somebody else. But, you know, that's another story for another day. But, of course, I hope you guys liked the review and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Alphia. It's always great to hear from you. And I just wanted to ask you one thing. How did you feel about Aunt Betty's hair? Okay, so that's it for today. Everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.